I'm tongue-tied. The entire road. A little bit annoying. I'm at a Waffle House. The highest elevation on the entire Blue Ridge Parkway. Look. Buffalo running around. Good evening, good late afternoon from the Blue Ridge Parkway. This parkway is a road that is 460 something miles. It begins here in North Carolina and is a small 2-lane road that winds through the Appalachian Mountains all the way through North Carolina and way into Virginia. I am going to drive the entire road from the beginning here all the way to the end. It's going to take me about 4 or 5 days. Quick information about the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's run by the National Park Service. There are no buildings along it. There's no houses, there are no hotels, there are no stores of any type. There are also no advertising signs and billboards and things like that. We've got 5 days on this little road. Let's go! There's a small concrete post at every mile along the parkway, numbered from 1 in the north to 469 down here. Driving northward, the mileposts count backwards. One thing there is to do on the Blue Ridge Parkway is turn into the pullouts every so often for the views, the hikes, and the history lessons. The parkway runs along mountain ridges, so you're usually higher and cooler than the sprawling vistas below. I didn't make it very far down the road before the first pullout. I've been on the parkway about 2 minutes maybe, and here's the first pullout. There are dozens and dozens of these, so I'm not going to stop at every one. But this is the first one, so I think it's nice. View Oconaluftee River, 300 feet below, elevation here, 2,200 feet. Something else I forgot to mention, that is that the entire park speed limit is 45 miles an hour. So it's not a thing to do really fast. It's a very winding little road. Nobody goes to the Blue Ridge Parkway to save time. The point is to go slow and look at all the nature. Anyway, I will stop babbling, I will get back in this car, and we will continue on to see more of the road. Blue Ridge Parkway has no traffic lights, no street lights, no nothing like that. No civilization other than the road itself and a few very small, simple signs telling you where the lookouts are. And if I may give you some personal advice, if you're ever on the Blue Ridge Parkway, it's a window down kind of place. At this time of night, when there's no cars, it's super quiet, and look at the sky. Soon it will be very dark, but for now, the mountains, I'm tongue-tied. The mountains really are smoky. In other news, some people do not seem to treat the Blue Ridge Parkway with the same sense of going slow and enjoying it as I do. Some people have been kind of riding my tail in the car, so it's a little bit annoying, but what can I do? What can I say? I'm here to drive slow. The guy actually passed me. Being passed on the Blue Ridge Parkway is something of a badge of honor for me. More cars. It's not as desolate as I was thinking. I thought nobody would be here in the evening. People are here. Okay, as the sunset keeps dying, I'll tell you that this looks out over the Qualla Indian Reservation, and this area was full of settlements and communities of Cherokee people back in the day. But as this sign explains, the white man came and sent them all to Oklahoma. But some of them escaped and they kind of fled into the Smoky Mountains. And now those ones who escaped, they are on this reservation, the Qualla Reservation. By 6:30, it was already dark. At this pace, in the endless murk of the featureless Blue Ridge Parkway, I could see that not only was much of the landscape going by in complete invisibility, but dinner wasn't going to be happening at any sensible time. The trip was only 2 hours old, and already, as you often do when traveling, I had to modify my plans and roll with the punches. Well, the sun is about down. It's almost pitch black. Over on the horizon you can see some kind of blue a little bit, but pretty much Blue Ridge Parkway is dark. We're just coming around a little curve, and suddenly, boom, the full moon suddenly peeked out from a mountaintop. Huge in the sky, huge and bright and crisp because it's a perfectly clear sky. It's a very, very curious place to be here at night. And we still have, 65 miles to go. 65 miles up this road due to the hotel in Asheville. What a strange journey already. Okay, here's the situation. Driving along, wondering what dinner I was going to find on the Blue Ridge Parkway. There was nothing. So I exited, just happened to exit and find a city called Waynesville, which was lucky because I got a bunch of places here. I'm at a Waffle House. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so I've decided to change the trip a little bit. What I'm going to do is forget the Blue Ridge Parkway for tonight. It's dark. I saw the moon. I saw the great sunset. I think I got as much as I could out of the Blue Ridge Parkway tonight. So here's what I'm going to do. Taking big highways and the interstate over to my hotel, which I've already reserved and I can't cancel tonight in Asheville. And then tomorrow morning I'll reverse the route, come back here to Waynesville and go back to the place that I left the Blue Ridge Parkway, and I'll resume from there in the daylight. So day 2 will begin from that point. So I did about 15 or 20 miles of the Blue Ridge Parkway only. So we'll start from that point tomorrow. What am I trying to say? I'm very hungry, so anyway. Day 1 on the Blue Ridge Parkway was fun, but it was just a taste. We were already behind schedule. Tomorrow would have to be an intense day, but the good news was that on the first full day on the parkway, the weather was supposed to be sunny and bright. And so it was. Breakfast was the usual Comfort Inn buffet. Not bad, although I couldn't bring myself to eat the ratty-looking sausage. On the interstate, we passed under a big, high bridge. It's the Blue Ridge Parkway, carrying lucky people high and free, unattached to the tense chaos of the busy and ugly highways down here. Good morning from the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's day 2. Spent about an hour running around this morning getting gas and getting lunch for today for a picnic. And coming way back, backtracking back to this place. This is where, coming from down there, this is where I exited the parkway last night in the pitch dark. So, back here now, it's about 10:30 a.m. Today I have quite a drive. I'm going to a place called Sparta, North Carolina. However, if you drove the speed limit and didn't make any stops from this point, it's like 6 hours on the parkway. So, it's just gonna be us and the mid-November trees, the bare, ruined choir that is the wonderful trees of the Blue Ridge Parkway in November. It is a sunny day. This might be the last sunny day of this trip because a big tropical storm is coming. After backtracking, today's goal was 214 miles on the parkway before reaching the town of Sparta, which was situated around milepost 229. That's a very ambitious plan for a road whose pace is so leisurely. Maybe a bit too ambitious, as we found out. After resuming the journey from milepost 433, it wasn't long before the first pullout called, just after 10:30 a.m. Here at Standing Rock Overlook, pretty substantial, but not alpine mountains. This is the Appalachian Mountains. They're very, very old. That's why they're kind of low and rounded on the tops. Not a lot of people today, because it's after the leaf season. Got the parkway all to ourselves today. I've come to Grassy Ridge Mine Overlook, elevation 5,250 feet above sea level. A nice view way over this endless valley with increasingly distant ridges and different colors all behind. And someone stuck a dollar bill here. And I don't see anybody else around, so I'm gonna take it. No, I'm not. I don't know why they put that there. Maybe they're giving $1 to the vast, the vast view of Grassy Ridge Mine. I don't know. I never did figure out the dollar bills, but the next pullout was one of the most notable on the entire parkway. Starting to see some evergreen trees because we're up high enough. How high are we, you ask? Well, here we are, 6,053 feet. This point right here, the highest elevation on the entire Blue Ridge Parkway, North Carolina and Virginia. Yet another overlook. There's like an overlook every half mile here. Nice overlook, but I want to check the sign for a dollar bill. And here we go. Cowie Mountain Overlook. No dollar bill. Someone has been taking the dollar bills. And it wasn't me. I promise it was not me. What? I'm at another overlook here, and the thing about the Blue Ridge Parkway is just really quiet. The Blue Ridge Parkway is not a place for crass silliness and merriment and stuff. It's just a place for reflection and kind of somber. Look at the names. It's called the Devil's Courthouse. Just pulled up and a guy who was just getting into his car said, hey, it's worth the hike up. Takes about 25 minutes up to the top of Devil's Courthouse. So we're gonna check it out. The point of this video series is to see the parkway itself, the road and where it goes, but I was hoping for some hikes like this. Won't have time for too many today, but this looks like a really good one. It's pretty steep right now. Perfect weather for this too. Here it is, the top of Devil's Courthouse. Nice view, huh? And you can see our car from up here. An especially nice overlook here, and this sign says that the Blue Ridge Parkway has more plant species than any other park in the United States. So how about that? This is the French Broad River, and the Blue Ridge Parkway goes over it on a high, dramatic bridge. And although determining a river's age is very hard, it's entirely possible that the French Broad first flowed through here when the land was flat, before the Appalachian Mountains were even formed. That would make the French Broad, like the Nile, one of the oldest rivers on Earth. The bridge was fun to drive over, as was the next bridge. It went over I-26 outside Asheville. It's the one we saw earlier from below. 3 hours in, and we're back where we started this morning, still counting the miles down to the lodging I reserved at milepost 229. But progress was being made, at least until lunchtime and a stop at the visitor center. Okay, here's the situation. It's a little bit after 1 p.m. We're at the visitor center. So I'm hoping there's going to be some kind of like guide I can buy to make sure I don't miss anything super important on the trip. And we're just in Asheville. So we're just back now to the place I started, to the place I woke up this morning. It was like a mile from here, or not even a mile. Lunch was fantastic. Miniature naan pieces with sesame and something. Hummus with avocado, raw vegetables, some cheese and ham. Applesauce with no cutlery whatsoever. Some blueberries and strawberries. Diet Dr. Pepper. Chocolate chip cookies in the car. All right, found a map. We started here. Here we are now here. That means we only have left on this trip all the way to the northern end of Blue Ridge Parkway. All right, a successful trip to the visitor center. A Blue Ridge Parkway brochure to go with my dozens of others I got. But here, the real thing I got was this for $17. The guide to the Blue Ridge Parkway. Kind of a guide to every single mile marker and every single thing that's along this entire parkway. For now, we're just going to go ahead and keep driving north. Gonna go check out the Folk Center right here in Asheville, right on the Blue Ridge Parkway. The Folk Art Center, something like that. That's what I saw last night on the parkway. Actually pretty interesting. I thought it was kind of like a crass gift shop type of place, but a lot of these things really are just creative works. A lot of paintings, a lot of things carved out of wood, but it's cool. For example, one of these by the artist Elaine Domes. This is cashmere and wool and silk. It's needle felted. I don't know what that means, but it's something like boop, 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 with the needle, and you create the shapes of colors and stuff like that. This, of course, is fog and mist in the trees beside the Blue Ridge Parkway. Today is very sunny and clear and crisp, and probably won't be anything like this. But I'm hoping that tomorrow or the next day there will be, because rain is coming and foggy and mist is coming, I hope. If you look up Blue Ridge Parkway, like on Google image search, you're gonna get one picture. It's this road. This is the most famous road, especially when all the leaves are changing. I guess that's it being built, so that's kind of interesting, but this is a display just about that one piece of road. I think I got here and left just in time, because a big tour bus just pulled up as I was leaving. Fine people, I'm sure, but you know, who wants to be in a place that's all crowded? Anyway, I have 1 billion miles to drive today, so back to the parkway. Well, the dollar bills have long since dried up, but this is North Carolina, just outside of Asheville, Blue Ridge Parkway. In the afternoon, it's about 3:30, 3 o'clock p.m., something like that. It's a huge sweeping view here. This was named for an old tannery. I know that because I bought the guide. And I love the way the mountains are just reaching up very, very crisp right into the kind of soft blue sky. This is Bull Creek Valley. Imagine, back in the day, buffalo here. Buffalo running around in this area and down in the valley. Well, according to this sign, the last buffalo ever seen here was killed in 1799 by somebody called Joseph Rice. So, if you want to see buffalo, you had to be here before 1799. Another visitor center, Craggy Gardens Visitor Center. And this one has smoke coming out of a little chimney. Tiny Craggy Gardens Visitor Center was really cozy inside, warm and with a magnificent view down into the huge valley below. The two people inside were talking about how the temperature had dropped 15 degrees since the morning, and how tomorrow, when the big storm arrived, was going to be, as one put it, brutal. To preserve the natural environment, the Blue Ridge Parkway isn't salted in winter, and heavy snow closes large sections of the road. We caught this visitor center just a few days before it closed for the season. found a little pullout that leads to a trail to Glassmine Falls, 800 feet high. The first waterfall on this whole road trip, and I cannot find it. There's a trail here, but it doesn't seem to lead to any waterfalls. View is nice anyway, though. I do hear a roar, but it's the wind through the trees, I think. The guidebook just says, stroll up the 0.1 mile paved path where there's a little viewing area and a park bench, and gaze out at the amazing 800-foot falls. Okay, this is the paved viewing area. I see some little white sliver of something on these rocks. Could that be a waterfall? I think it is. Not quite the Niagara I was imagining. Okay, let's call this something. I did my part. It's a success. Now it's about 4 p.m. We're nowhere near the destination. Probably tonight is going to be another one of those break off the parkway, go an hour ahead on a highway, and then come back tomorrow morning and make up for lost time. That is the Smoky Mountains. This isn't the Smoky Mountains, this is the Pisgah National Forest and the Black Mountains, but that's why things are called Smoky Mountains. They get smokier and smokier as they go back. I'm at an overlook called Singe Cat Ridge. And there's like 2 mountains and then a lake in the middle of them. It's about 4:30 or 5 and I don't know where we are. There's no roads that are connecting to the Blue Ridge Parkway, but there's driving to be done yet. This way. It's that wonderful time of the evening when everything's getting purple and orange. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon, and special thanks to John Arne Hansen. All right, we're about to go through the last tunnel in North Carolina. Going north, Little Switzerland Tunnel. The mystical beauty surrounding the car was offset a little bit by the realization that, for the second day in a row, the parkway had beaten me. It was still 100 parkway miles to Sparta, and while I loved the road at night, I wanted to see most of it in the daylight. Once again, I had to make a last-minute schedule change. So we're going to turn off of the Blue Ridge Parkway and skip ahead on some highways to the town of Sparta, and then we'll come back tomorrow morning and pick up where we left off again. But it does have a kind of spooky ambiance of its own right now. You don't see a whole lot, but the views to the sunset and the mountains when you can see them are quite amazing. And it's got this kind of spooky Appalachian, some dark holler kind of feel to it. Okay, I'm at an overlook called Lost Cove Cliffs. Just to tell you that we just saw a deer coming across the road, actually standing in the middle of the road. So it was the first big wildlife we've seen of the trip. And the moon came out. The moon is just over the horizon now. It's red and it's awesome. The dark, spooky forest and the increasingly frequent deer enlivened the last few miles of the parkway tonight. But just ahead, the travel gods punished me for my overly ambitious route today. It happened just as I saw railing on either side of the road, which was all I could see. And then I realized where we were. But this is a little awkward. Driving down the parkway here at night, looking at the amazing moon, I realized that we're on the whatever it's called, viaduct, the famous view of the parkway. So I guess this is what it looks like at night. What an interesting trip to the parkway this is, but it's how traveling goes. Okay, so here's the situation. I left the Blue Ridge Parkway way before I planned to, took a regular road, Highway 221, to this place that I've rented for the night in Sparta, North Carolina. Of course, the original plan is to go back tomorrow, retrace my steps back on 221, go back to where I left the Blue Ridge Parkway, and then continue from there. I've been thinking, am I really going to do all that? Now, I never said that I was going to do every single part of the Blue Ridge Parkway. I am going to drive the entire road. Or maybe I did. But sometimes you have to face up to reality. So I'm not giving up. I'm just going to have to research and see what my options are. And now that I have all the guidebooks and maps and all the pamphlets and stuff, I can plan a little bit better. I'll let you know what's happening tomorrow after I figure all this out, which I'm going to do for the next 2 hours or something here tonight. Is it tomorrow morning yet? All in all, no complaints. The first 2 days on the Blue Ridge Parkway were really great. I had to face the hard choices tonight, but we'll get into that in the morning over breakfast in the lovely and foggy town of Sparta in the next video. See you then.